Amazon rainforest. The world's largest green expanse, also known as the lungs of the planet, is facing increasing threats and destruction. This assault at human hands weakens these vital lungs, impacting not only our diverse planet and animal life, but also the indigenous people who call the Amazon home. A vast expanse of lush greenery, a tapestry of diverse plant life, intermingled with the countless vibrant blue rivers that nourish the ecosystem. This is the Amazon, the world's largest rainforest. Its dominion stretches across 9 South American nations, with around 60% of its area under the stewardship of Brazil. This verdant expanse serves as a haven for an extraordinary array of plant and animal life, alongside numerous tribes. Even today, the Amazon rainforest remains home to a significant indigenous population, with an estimated 2.7 million residing within its depths. These diverse communities, comprising over 350 distinct tribes, have established their way of life in harmony with the rainforest's ecosystem. Remarkably, 60 of these tribes remain entirely uncontacted by the outside world, preserving their unique cultures and traditions in isolation. Amazonian tribes along the rivers, many connected to the outside world, flourish thanks to the fertile floodplains. They cultivate a variety of crops, including corn and beans, while their adept hunting skills with handmade bows and arrows provide them with fish and food. Uncontacted tribes, however, typically live deep within the rainforest and are referred to as indigenous peoples in isolation. Many of these tribes are nomadic. Over the past several decades, they have been forced to continuously relocate due to increasing intrusion from the outside world deeper into the forest. Deep within the rainforest, the death of a man in August 2022 sparked a global news phenomenon. No renowned leader or national hero, he was the last survivor of a small tribe who had chosen to live in isolation for decades. This man, known as the Man of the Hole, was the sole remaining member of Brazil's Tanaru indigenous tribe. He was found deceased by his straw hut, nestled in the western Amazon's Rondônia state near the Bolivian border. Officials believe he died of natural causes at around the age of 60. His body was found lying peacefully on a hammock beside his hut, with no signs of violence or intruders. His nickname came from his habit of digging deep holes in the ground, possibly used for trapping animals or even for shelter. The Man of the Hole's death marked the extinction of the Tanaru tribe. He was the sole survivor, having eluded the brutal massacre orchestrated by ranchers seeking land expansion in the 1970s. His passing served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of indigenous cultures and the critical need to protect their lands and way of life. Cultural and lifestyle differences are not the only reasons why outsiders should avoid close contact with indigenous tribes. Another crucial factor is immunology. Unlike the general population, indigenous tribes have less developed immune systems. With their limited contact with the outside world, they lack immune defenses to new diseases. Due to pre-existing nutritional deficiencies and limited access to modern healthcare, their lifespans are already shorter. This makes all age groups within these communities especially vulnerable to unfamiliar viruses and microorganisms. The most pressing threat today is, however, not external contact, but encroachment on the forests that indigenous tribes call home. Brazil has the highest number of uncontacted tribes in the world. The Brazilian constitution recognizes their right to ancestral lands and protects them with specific laws. Despite these protections, encroachments persist, leading to violent massacres and further diminution of the already dwindling populations of these tribes. A report by the Indigenous Missionary Council of the Bishops' Conference, or CIMI, reveals a troubling trend. Between 2003 and 2015, an average of 68 indigenous people were killed in Brazil each year, totaling 891 deaths. The situation worsened dramatically under the administration of former President Jair Bolsonaro from 2019 to 2022. During this period, annual killings skyrocketed to a staggering 199. On top of these killings, indigenous people reportedly face a constant barrage of violence. On average, they experience 374 violent incidents per year, including murder, attempted murder, threats, assault, sexual abuse, abuse of power, and racial discrimination. The Amazon rainforest, revered as a sacred land, has a long history of being under threat. In the past, investors tried to exploit the forest for economic gain. The Brazilian government stepped in during the early 20th century, enacting strict laws to punish those who encroached. These laws were rigorously enforced, leading to a dramatic reduction in deforestation. Unfortunately, though, progress can be fragile. When Brazil's economy slumped in 2013, hardship forced a relaxation of environmental protections. The government allowed locals limited access to the forest for small-scale use. This seemingly reasonable step had unintended consequences. While local farmers initially took advantage of these new freedoms, large investors saw an opportunity. They began encroaching on the rainforest, specifically targeting areas that were home to indigenous tribes, like the Wapi people. The Wapi tribe, residing in the eastern part of the rainforest, exemplifies the struggles faced by many indigenous groups. Mining companies are destroying their homeland and living areas, forcing the Wapi people to confront the outside world to protect their ancestral land. Their story highlights the ongoing fight for the Amazon and the people who call it home. The Wapi tribe faces distress due to former Brazilian President Michel Temer's order. This order revoked the National Reserve of Copper and Associates, or RENCA, decree, essentially opening the tribe's land for private mining operations. Issued in 1984, the protection order covered a vast area, roughly 47,000 square kilometers, spanning across the states of Amapá and Pará. To put that in perspective, it's larger than Switzerland.
Nós não queremos que acontece.
Tapayona, a member of the Wapi community from Pinotoi village, emphatically rejects the idea of mining on their land, stating that it's something they will never accept. He asserts that the Wapi people belong there, and this land is an integral part of their identity.
A gente tem que mandar pela internet também.
Yanukula, another Wapi, stresses the importance of sharing their concerns online, saying it's crucial to document their way of life on the internet so that others can understand their perspective. Despite the growing anxiety, their dedication to safeguarding their ancestral territory has only intensified. The Wapi tribe was once one of the few tribes in South America that remained isolated from society. But today, they can no longer stay hidden. They have been forced to speak out in defense of their territory, warning that mining will bring conflict and diseases that threaten their members' survival. The government, however, maintains that these tribes will benefit from the infrastructure that mining will bring. In the 1970s, the Wapi tribe first made contact with outsiders when the Brazilian government sought to build a highway through their territory. At that time, the Wapi population had dwindled to just 150 people and was facing extinction. Today, though, their population has grown to over 1,100. Yarawura, a Wapi man, seamlessly transitions between two worlds like a time traveller. During the week, he immerses himself in the traditional rhythms of life in the forest alongside his family. As the weekend approaches, however, Yarawura embarks on a transformative journey, becoming a passionate advocate for his tribe on the municipal council of Pedra Branca. Yarawura, now a Wapi municipal councillor, explains that in today's world, the fight for their rights doesn't involve arrows or other weapons. He emphasises the need for unity, the use of knowledge and an understanding of politics. They must stay informed about what's happening on both the national and international levels.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
Today, the lines between the old and new worlds are blurring for many Wapi villages. Tribal members increasingly sport modern attire and carry mobile phones, even in the depths of the forest where signals are scarce. This fusion of traditional and contemporary lifestyles is becoming increasingly evident. Amidst the ongoing struggle for their rights, a new concern has emerged. In many tribes, children are gaining greater exposure to the modern world and opportunities for education. Growing up in two societies raises the risk, though, that they may eventually abandon one world altogether. Reoni Metotiri, chief of the Kayapo tribe, expresses his deep concern for the younger generations. He says that the youngsters are not interested in their culture, music, headdresses, dance, or any of their customs. But he expects them to continue the fight for their people's rights and carry on the traditions of their community. While mismanagement by politicians favouring capitalist exploitation undeniably harms the Amazon, climate change, fueled by human activity, poses a dire threat to the region's indigenous tribespeople. Decreasing rainfall has dried the rainforest, leading to more frequent and intense wildfires. Reports warn that Amazonian temperatures could rise by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius by 2050. This, coupled with the dwindling rainfall, is likely to trigger prolonged and severe droughts, significantly disrupting seasonal patterns. A chilling report by Brazil's National Space Research Institute suggests that if unchecked, a staggering 30 to 60% of the Amazon could transform into savanna. A hope for the revival of the Amazon rainforest appears to be on the horizon, however, following the 2022 Brazilian general election, which saw former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva return to power. Lula has made commitments to safeguard the Amazon rainforest, reducing deforestation rates, and to position Brazil as a front-runner in the fight against climate change, all while fostering social and environmental progress. This includes discontinuing several development projects initiated during Jair Bolsonaro's presidency, which sought to transform the Amazon rainforest into economic zones through practices like animal agriculture, extraction of natural resources, and logging. After Lula da Silva returned to the presidency, there was a notable change in the situation concerning the rainforest. According to reports, from January to June 2023, alerts for potential deforestation covered 2,650 square kilometres, a decrease from the 4,000 square kilometres recorded under former President Jair Bolsonaro. This year's data also indicates a significant 41% reduction in alerts for June, signalling the onset of the dry season. The Amazon's indigenous peoples continue to fight for their rights and territory, mirroring struggles faced by similar communities worldwide. Their future hangs precariously, threatened by encroaching forests, human trafficking, and violations of or lack of access to fundamental human rights. The fate of these tribes remains uncertain, hanging in the balance amidst the actions of their fellow humans and the forces of nature. Many tribes find themselves designated as inhabitants of state-owned lands, utilizing resources communally. Some fight for the recognition they rightfully deserve, while others have chosen to embrace new lifestyles, abandoning their traditional ways of life. Tragically, some face the very real possibility of extinction. Our world is losing these unique ethnic groups at an alarming rate. Their stories are on the verge of being swallowed up by the ever-changing modern world.